Krishna, everyone, and a warm welcome back once again to our ever-ongoing series on the glories of our most beloved Sri Vrindavan Dham. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Pashtaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Pacharane, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarane. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So we're continuing with our mini-series on stimulation for ecstatic love, and this will be number 118. 118. And herein we'll continue discussing the beauty of Srimati Radharani's lotus feet with great pleasure. Now, you may remember that last week we discussed how one time Krishna had left the Sharadiya Rasa Leela, meaning the autumn rasa dance, and the Gopis searched for him everywhere. We discussed how eventually at one point the Gopis noticed Krishna's footprints in the dust of Braj Reno, marked with the distinctive flag, the lotus, the thunderbolt, an elephant goad, and a barleycorn. But they also saw another set of lighter and smaller footprints just to the left of Krishna's footprints that had markings similar to his. And based on the position of these two pairs of footprints, the Gopis guessed what had happened. That Krishna had taken his favorite Gopi with him, Vrindavaneshwari Srimati Radharani. Now it's interesting that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments on exactly how different groups of Gopis saw Radharani's footprints, different groups of Gopis, because different groups of Gopis have different rasas, different mellows of love with Sri Radha and with Krishna, or with Radha and Krishna. There's different groups, different ganas we call that. So Chandravali and other Vipaksha Gopis, who are essentially, for the purposes of igniting different loving sentiments within the hearts of the Gopis, they're Sri Radha's competitors, special group. They became disturbed. Other Gopis, neutral to Radha, the Tatashta Gopis, they didn't pay much attention to the fact that there was some other Gopis' footprints, and they just glorified Krishna's footprints. But the Surit Paksha Gopis, the group friendly to Sri Radha, such as Lalita and Vishaka, they recognized the footprints of Sri Radha, and they were internally enlivened. But since they were amongst many different kinds of Gopis, they pretended externally not to recognize those footprints. This is all Braj Ras. Without mentioning Radha's name, all these Gopis actually eventually declared her good fortune with one of the most famous verses in all Gaudiya literature. Ananya Radito Nunam Bhagavan Harir Ishvara Yanno Viha Govinda Prito Yam Anayad Raha. It's on the tip of every Rasik devotee. Certainly, this particular Gopi has perfectly worshipped the all-powerful personality of Godhead Govinda, since he was so pleased with her that he abandoned the rest of us and brought her to a secluded place. I think it deserves being recited again. Certainly this particular Gopi, whose footprints they've seen, has perfectly worshipped the all-powerful personality of Godhead Govinda, since he was so pleased with her that he abandoned the rest of us and brought her to a secluded place. Vrindavaneshwari Srimati Radharani Jai. Now, the Acharyas say that due to these, how can you put it, varying perceptions, various conversations went on as the girls, all these different groups of Gopis, followed the footprints. And in narrating these conversations of the Gopis in his Krishna book, Prabhupada's Krishna book, Prabhupada often repeats Srimati Radharani's name, leaving no doubt that the word Aradhita, meaning one who perfectly worships, is an indirect reference to Sri Radha. Now, many of you know that there are critics who accuse Gaudiya Vaishnavas of artificially exalting Sri Radha. It's a good way to put it. Artificially exalting Sri Radha. They claim, they say, her name is never mentioned in Srimad Bhagwatam, Radharani. Now, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 8, verse 100, Srila Prabhupada directly refutes this claim. He writes in his purport, sometimes the critics of Srimad Bhagwatam find it difficult to find Radharani's holy name in that book, but the secret is disclosed here in the word Aradhita, from which the name Radha has come. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Now, all Gaudiya Vaishnavacharyas share Srila Prabhupada's conclusion. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, for example, says in the following statement before the Anaya Radhito verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 4, 87. He writes, her worship, Aradhana, consists of fulfilling the desires of Lord Krishna. Therefore the Puranas call her Radhika. Now these pieces of evidence substantiate that Radha is Krishna's dearmost consort. His dearmost consort. So much evidence we have. But although there were different reactions amongst the different groups of gopis upon discovering Sri Radha's footprints, the general consensus amongst the gopis was that they had discovered something most wonderful. Most wonderful. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami sums this up in his Govinda Lilamrita, chapter 11, verse 52. It's so beautiful. There he writes, one gopi said to another, the luster of Srimati Radharani's feet are so beautiful that it makes the new sprouts named Pallava, the lotus flower named Padma, and the red lotus named Kokanada appear dull and unattractive, just like a white chakravaka bird, whose glory is dimmed by the darkness of night. Whose glory is dimmed by the darkness of night. Radharani's lotus feet eclipse the beauty of everything beautiful. To what may a metaphor-hungry poet, to what may a metaphor-hungry poet compare Srimati Radharani's beautiful feet to? Hare Krishna. Now, of course, there are many pastimes glorifying the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani, but today I would like to share, you could say, what our previous acharyas consider the topmost supreme pastime in this regard. Now, it's a pastime I've shared before, but in his purport to Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 25, Srila Prabhupada writes, repetition of something is necessary in order that we understand the matter thoroughly without error. Repetition of something is necessary in order that we understand the matter thoroughly without error. And this repetition I'm going to share with you today, this pastime, this repetition is simply nectar. So, late one morning, the famous devotee Jayadev Goswami was writing his magnum opus, entitled Gita Govinda, while his wife, Padmavati, was cooking lunch. Now, Jayadev was writing how in Krishna's pastimes it appears that Krishna is controlled by the love of the gopis, particularly Srimati Radharani, and was thus subordinate to them. He was thinking then to write a particular phrase in this regard, but he stopped short of completing it. He wrote something, but he didn't complete it, saying to himself, how can I write such a thing? Krishna is in fact the supreme controller. How can he be controlled by the gopis, headed by Srimati Radharani? So that's called writer's block. Those of you who are writers, you know what I'm saying. It's called writer's block. Transcendental writer's block. So he decided to take a break from his writing, to think about it. So he told his wife, Padmavati, who was cooking, that he was going to leave the house to walk and take bath in the Ganges, and that he would be back soon. So he left. Now, while Jayadev was away, one of the most amazing episodes in Vaishnava history took place. One of the most amazing episodes in Vaishnava history took place. For Krishna, disguised as Jayadev Goswami, came to Jayadev's home. He walked in, he went over to Jayadev's desk, picked up his pen, and wrote something in the spot in the manuscript that Jayadev had hesitated to write. Now what he wrote is idolized, memorized, and forever established, you could say, in the hearts of all Gaudiya Vaishnavas, devotees of the Lord. Whose Istadev is Krishna, or Radharani, or Radha and Krishna, but particularly Vrindavaneshwari, Srimati Radharani. Krishna wrote, personally wrote, Shmara Garala Kandanam, Mamashi Rasi Mandanam, Dehi Pada Palavam Udaram. Translated, O beloved, your tender sprout-like feet are the antidote to Cupid's venom. Please place them on my head as my ornament and glory. Please place your lotus feet on my head as my ornament and glory. The scorching fire of Cupid's poison is unbearable. Please, therefore, let the touch of your feet quell the torment of my love. Again, we have to recite that. O my beloved, your tender, sprout-like feet are the antidote to Cupid's venom. Please place them on my head as my ornament and glory. The scorching fire of Cupid's poison is unbearable. Please, therefore, let the touch of your feet quell the torment of my love. Now, scholars have determined the most famous line there is, Dehi pada palavam udaram. Please place your feet on my head as my ornament and glory. Now, with that, Krishna, disguised as Jayadev, sat down and took the prasadam prepared by Padmavati. He had lunch. And after finishing the prasadam, Krishna, as Jayadev, told Padmavati he was going to go for another walk after prasadam. Now, just after this episode, a few minutes later, the real Jayadev Goswami returned from his bath in the Ganges. And when he asked his wife, Padmavati, when prasadam would be ready, she was shocked. She said to Jayadev, you just came back earlier and then you went over to your desk and had written something and then took prasadam and decided to go for another walk. So Jayadev was astonished. Wait a minute. So he went over to his desk and there he saw in, how would you say, wet ink, the words written by the Lord. Dehi pada palavam udaram. Please place your feet on my head as my ornament and glory. Seeing that, he exclaimed, it's a miracle, it's a miracle, it's a miracle. And tears of ecstasy flowed down from his eyes. He called out, Padmavati, my dear wife, you were most fortunate. Krishna himself has written the line, Dehi pada palavam hudaram, and accepted prasadam from your own hand. So, yeah, that's the pastime. It's so wonderful, so sweet, and so relished amongst Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. So when Jayadev Goswami finally finished his illustrious Gita Govinda, I was reading it. He concluded with the most beautiful prayer. I'll share with you. Whatever is delightful in the varieties of music, whatever is graceful in fine strains of poetry, and whatever is exquisite in the sweet art of love, let the happy and wise persons learn that from the songs of Gita Govinda. Now the remarkable lesson from this pastime is that we see how Krishna is subordinate to the love of Srimati Radharani. And he shows that by asking her to place her two lotus feet, the subject of our recent lectures, her lotus feet, on his head. And in Radharasa Sudhanidhi, verse 259, our beloved Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati, he also expresses a similar desire. And we'll conclude today with this prayer. It's so beautiful. Become totally absorbed in Krishna, whose crown is decorated with the peacock plume, and sing his name and glories constantly. Invoke his pleasure by engrossing yourself in serving his lotus feet and chanting the Mahamantra continuously. My most intimate and heartfelt desire is to become a slave to Srimati Radharani's lotus feet. By her causeless mercy, may I attain spontaneous love for her service. Hare Krishna. And so may we one day, by the grace of Srila Prabhupada and our Guru Parampara. That is our heartbeat. The doctor may feel a heartbeat, but really the heartbeat is to go back home, back to Goloka Vrindavan, where we belong, serve the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. So Prabhus, I really enjoyed researching this. We're very busy at this particular moment up here in Rishikesh, India. We have our Rishikesh Kirtan Festival 2025. Literally, and I'm not exaggerating, thousands and thousands of Westerners are coming to Rishikesh looking for something. We open the doors of the ashram we're staying in every evening, and we're getting between 600 and 900 guests every evening. Kirtan, Katha, and at the end, we serve prasadam, free, 10-course feast every night. People are all falling in love with Krishna consciousness. This simple process introduced to us by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So although I'm really busy, I'm finding a few minutes to research, and I'll continue because this is my seva to all of you. So we'll be back. I think we can maybe get 2 or 3 more classes about Radharani's lotus feet. So stay tuned. See you next Friday. Shishi Gauranitai ki, Shishi Krishna Balaram ki, Shishi Radhashama Sundar ki, Vrindavaneshwari Shrimati Radharani ki, her divine lotus feet ki, Mayapur Dham ki, Gauranitai ki, Shri Krishna Sankirtan Yagya here on the banks of the Ganges here in Rishikesh, chanting the holy names with people from all over the world ki, Gauranitai ki, back home, back to Godhead ki, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Shri Prabhupada ki.